Mark Zuckerberg's success story. Mark Elliot Zuckerberg was born on May 14, 1984. Though his birthplace remains White Plains, New York, he and his three sisters were raised in a small village of Dobbs Ferry in Westchester County, New York. Their father, Edward Zuckerberg, ran his dental clinic from the first floor of their home. One could only imagine the number of times Zuckerberg, his mother Karen, all three sisters, climbed the stairs countless times to deliver messages to him. Hell, even Edward's receptionist would have to yell from outside his office to notify him about a new patient. To say this was exhausting was an understatement. But what could the young Zuckerberg do about it? Well, for starters, it should be noted that though Edward may have been a dentist, the man also dabbled in programming with Altair Basic language in his spare time. Zuckerberg tagged along, hanging on to his father's every word on how to operate the family's computer. With a strong curiosity to learn and explore, an 11-year-old Zuckerberg came up with an idea of instant communication. He devised a primitive messenger of sorts where anyone in the household could log in through the computer and leave a message. For his family and everyone else, it was a godsend. For Zuckerberg, it was just the Zucknet. This innovation was later called a crude version of AOL's instant messenger that was established the next year, and it will be the beginning of things to come. This feat, as well as Zuckerberg's talent for programming, convinced his father to hire a tutor. That tutor was one software developer named Mark Newman. Under Newman's guidance, he provided Zuckerberg with formal knowledge about how computers worked the way they did. However, in time, Newman came to acknowledge that he couldn't keep up with his student. How could he, when Zuckerberg was always taking things a notch higher? He even took a graduate course in the subject at Mercy College. As unbelievable as it sounded, the outcome became, as the old phrase goes, the student has surpassed the teacher. Zuckerberg would later say this: "People can be really smart or have skills that are directly applicable, but if they don't believe in it, then they are not going to work hard." Zuckerberg's software knowledge and innate curiosity gained him friends who loved playing video games. One could only imagine their awe when Zuckerberg took their creative ideas and turned them into video games they would play and play. As for Zuckerberg's education, he attended Philip Exeter Academy. Even though he was an outstanding student, he proved himself as more of a computer geek with his passion for fencing and studying classic literature. During this period, he continued writing several programs. One of them was called the Synapse Media Planner. The music player utilized machine learning to determine a listener's pattern of music by genre, artist, album, and so on. And then, based on this data, the software would learn to recommend similar music of their choice. Zuckerberg was only months from graduation when he received offers from the likes of Microsoft and AOL. It was a 2-in-1 package, an offer to buy Synapse Media Player and hire Zuckerberg full-time with a big fat paycheck to boot. Were Zuckerberg a lesser man, he would have followed the dollar signs. But he stood his ground, declined those offers, and released the media player for free. Thank you very much. In 2002, he enrolled at Harvard University, studying, expectedly, computer science and unexpectedly, psychology. He quickly became notorious for his software projects by the time he started his sophomore year. For one, course match. Zuckerberg observed how some of his fellow students had difficulty deciding what courses to take every new semester. So he built a system that allowed them to not only pick their courses, but also match them to others who may have also picked the same set of courses. And then there was FaceMash. Zuckerberg had built this website for harmless fun. It sent photos of two students, either male or female, requesting a vote of who was hot or not. And for some time, it got the Harvard campus buzzing. Turns out the site pulled too much traffic to allow certain groups of students to access the internet. Those complaints compounded into more complaints from those who found FaceMash inappropriate for using their pictures without permission. In the end, Harvard's administrative board intervened and shut down the site. Regardless, Zuckerberg's software exploits had caught the eye of his Harvard fellows, Divya Narendra and the Winklevoss twins, Cameron and Tyler Winklevoss. The trio approached Zuckerberg about creating a social media site for the Harvard students called the Harvard Connection. Students could register with their email addresses, create personal profiles, and add people as friends, as well as send messages to them. At first, Zuckerberg found the idea intriguing, but as weeks passed, his interest in the project flagged and then he quit. In the meantime, he developed a romantic relationship with a Harvard biology student, Priscilla Chan. In 2004, Zuckerberg decided to create a social networking site of his own. Certainly, it cannot be denied that he may or may not have borrowed certain features from the Harvard connection. His social media platform would look more like FaceMash, but work like the photo address book used in his old school Philip Exeter Academy, where student pictures were stored in photo directories. Then while browsing the pictures, Zuckerberg's old classmates called it Book of Faces or a Facebook. It was from here Zuckerberg got the name for his social media site, which wouldn't be any Facebook. It would be called Facebook. Before his final year in Harvard, Zuckerberg kept a low profile, even after launching the Facebook. But he realized its growth would soon outmatch his capabilities. So did the so-called programming prodigy go it alone as some young entrepreneurs would? No. Sometime that same year, he enlisted the assistance of Eduardo Cerverin, Andrew McCollum, Dustin Moskovitz, and Chris Hughes, who were his college dorm mates and later Facebook co-founders. The group launched the site from their dorm room on February 4, 2004. Since its launch, Facebook grew from a Harvard pet project to an inter-campus network. Not even Zuckerberg could have predicted and managed the site's exponential growth. When the site reached 1 million users, he had to drop out in his sophomore year. Fortunately, he had the assistance of his dorm mates and his girlfriend Priscilla. With additional funds from investors, Zuckerberg and his newfound team instead set up their first office in Palo Alto, California. By 2005, the Facebook became known as Facebook and had grown to around 5 million users, becoming a global site to watch out for. And anything holding the world's attention at the time would have the big boys calling. The likes of Google, Microsoft, the Washington Post, and MySpace, with their billion-dollar buyouts and employment offers, came screaming left and right. But Zuckerberg rejected them. It was like his school days all over again. When he first created the Synapse Media Player, Zuckerberg maintained a similar stance with Facebook. Not because the price was too low, but because he believed Facebook's worth would be undervalued, and selling Facebook ran contrary to his vision to create an open world where people could freely connect and communicate. If anything, the last people he wanted to control such a vision would be these tech giants. However, many years later in 2007, Microsoft bought a 1.6 equity stake in Facebook for a whopping $240 million, which moved analysts to surmise that Facebook's total value had likely exceeded $15 billion. Zuckerberg ensured that in whatever he set his mind to, he remained steadfast in his goals, and this led to the successful man that we know today. Thank you very much for watching our videos. We'd like to give you another interesting video for you to enjoy next. But before then, our team will be very happy if you can like this video and share it with your friends on social media. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss other interesting videos like this. Look at your screen now to see 2 other interesting videos we handpicked for you to enjoy next. We love you.